I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network. Tonight it'll be the stars and cars of the iRacing Silver Crown Cup coming to you from the Magic Mile, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, located in Loudon, New Hampshire. Scott Dixon holding the track record here at a tick over 22 seconds. No way we get close to that number tonight. Still going to be a damn good race, though. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, by the Bizzler, Mr. Patrick Byrne. And I tell you what here, Bizzle, a monster field tonight. We've talked about this the first 2 weeks, but this is the biggest of the season. 39-12 is the SOF on this race tonight. You better not be screwing around here if you want to contend for a championship later in the season.
Yeah, you're going to have to drive with the intensity that this guy is looking off in the turn one with. There's nothing on track, but his vision has not wavered from the corner, and that's exactly what these drivers are going to have to do tonight at this tough speedway.
Yeah, let's pick up the number 21 Coors Extra Gold entry of Mitch Drevnovsky, as he is getting his car out onto the speedway for qualifications. Like we said, this is... Oh, go ahead.
Absolutely love that paint scheme. Hutter Racing Engines, unfortunately, Mr. Hutter himself passing away earlier this year, but he is actually local here to Northeast Ohio, where his racing shop is still operated by his kids. Fantastic facility, and some of the fastest engines in the world came out of that shop.
Very cool. I didn't even notice that was the sponsor on the side. It's kind of hard with all the Coors branding all over it, but... Taking a look here as qualifications are underway. Tracy Petter, Thomas Lewandowski, Josh Batista, Chris Miller, and Alex Bisson not on the racetrack as of yet. But lap number 1 going to come up here pretty quickly for Mitch Drevnovsky. And his lap will be only good enough for 5th quick. Brandon Buckberger to the top of the speed charts. Pick up the Dienst Farms number 6 entry. Man, Brandon Buckberger's the 6 in this race. Good Lord. 27.477 seconds. 88 thousandths up on Derek Love in P2. Connor Knowlton currently holding on to P3. Buckberger off of turn number 4. See if lap number 2 can improve, and it will not, but he's going to hold on to 2nd place. Connor Knowlton goes new quick time, 27.372, 27.37 with a 2 for Connor Knowlton on his 2nd lap. Pick up the number 94 Napa Auto Parts Rockwell, North Carolina entry of Jeffrey Stanton. He was a little bit unsure if he would even be able to race tonight. He is now sitting inside the top 5. Over a 1/10 of a second back after lap number 1. Lap 2 for Stanton, and it will be it'll be an improvement, but does not move him up the speed charts, up into position number 5. Grab a hold of the Team Watson Racing setups. Boomer button boxes, Martin Sports National Racing Network, number 39 of James Watson. Lap number 1, only good for 11th quick. Going to be disappointing there for Watson, 27.944. The first time by, lap number 2 for Watson will be good enough to move him up inside the top 10. 27.609. Pick up this guy. If there is anyone you're going to bet on, Shuey Ohtani, it's going to be this guy, Thomas Lewandowski. 4 starts, 4 wins. He has led 160 of the 297 laps he's completed thus far. Absolute domination out of Thomas Lewandowski to this point in the season. Lap number 1, good for 7th quick at a 27.485, a 10th and change back. Lap number 2 as he comes off of turn number 4, and it will be almost identical laps, if you can believe that. 27,478 for both for Thomas Lewandowski. Now the Red Ream Rocket of Josh Batista making his way down the backstretch and into turn number 3 on lap 1. Alex Bisson, Chris Miller, and Tracy Petter have not yet taken to the racing surface with 1:30 left in qualifying. Lap
So
number
I
1.
was just
Go ahead.
thinking back to when I was going to school up here in Cleveland. My instructor for the engine building course was next door neighbors with the Hutters growing up, and that's how he got his passion for building race cars and building racing engines. When he was, like, I guess college aged, him and one of the Hutter sons, I don't remember which is which, and it's probably better I don't. I don't know what the statute of limitations on excessive speed is, but they took one of Ron's. It was some kind of G-body. I vaguely remember it being a Cutlass, but it might have been a Monte Carlo. They took it out to New York for the weekend, and coming back, they took the PA Turnpike the whole way back, and they wanted to see if they can get across Pennsylvania in less than an hour and a half. Grabbed the whole ticket on the one side, took this thing with the Cup Series motor the whole way across Pennsylvania in like an hour and 12 minutes. The toll booth lady on the other end couldn't believe the ticket.
Oh, that's awesome. God, that's when you used to be able to have a lot of fun with cars. You could be really stupid with cars at a certain time in life.
Yeah, they had one of their friends following them in the Suburban, and their buddy in the Suburban got pulled over, and his excuse to the cop was, I was just trying to follow my buddies there, and why didn't you stop them? And the cop said, do you really think I was going to catch that thing?
Tracy Petter may not get a lap in. He does not. Tracy Petter does not score a lap in qualifications. Oh, baby. One of the guys that you would expect to be at the front of this field is going to have to come from well back in the pack. As cars are making their way out onto the starting grid. Let's make sure, well, no. Make sure we have the right paint schemes for you here. There we go. Now we can get you a look at tonight's starting lineup. Starting on the pole, the car number 9 out of New England with a lap time of 27.372. Trying to pick up the home game win here, it is Connor Knowlton. Lining up on the outside of the Dietz Farms, number 6, also driven to save lives, National Racing Network. On that number 6 machine, it is Brandon Buckberger. Row number 2, the Hunter Racing Engines, Coors Extra Gold, number 21 of Mitch Drepnowski. Lining up alongside of Derek Love, the Street Side Classics, number 3. Row number 3 on the grid tonight, it is the Team Watson Racing Setups, number 5 of River Hayes. Out of the Mid-South, also Smith's Racing Development on the side of that number 81 machine. And on his outside will be the Napa Auto Parts, Rockwell, North Carolina, number 94 of Jeffrey Stanton. Thomas Lewandowski, the Team Watson Racing Setups, Martin Sports, number 4, lining up inside of row 4. To his outside, the Red Ream Rocket, the number 20 of Josh Batista. Row number 5, the National Racing Network, Team Watson Racing Setup, ZAS Designs, number 16 is Zach Scott Nicky. Good run for Zach. Lining up on the inside of row 5. To his outside, the Grand Poobah, Team Watson Racing, and the Team Watson Racing Setups, National Racing Network, Martin Sports, number 39. It is James Watson. Row number 6, we'll have the TNT Racing, number 18 of Todd Taylor out of South Carolina, lining up alongside of Zach Evans. In the meantime, Team Watson Racing Setups, number 12. 7th row of the grid tonight, Laura Gerhardt out of Germany in the Kibu, number 13. Lining up alongside of Scott Schroeder, the Team Watson Racing Setups, Boomer Button Boxes, number 17. That's a lot of Team Watson heavy iron up there at the front. Tommy Toe in car number 11 will line up inside of row number 8 alongside of the RaceCPI.com, number 1 of Tracy Petter. Tracy, the first car that did not get a time in qualifications. Chris Miller in the Bass Pro Shops, Mobile 1, number 14, lining up on the inside of that 9th row. To his outside will be the number 15 of Alex Bisson. 18 cars, a monster SOF on tap. Field going to make their way off into turns 3 and 4. The pace car will make the hard left-hand turn to get onto pit lane. And it will be time to go racing for 80 laps here at the Magic Mile. Pace car is in very quickly. To the loud patter goes Connell Norton. Green flag in the air. We're underway. A little bit of a bobble there for Drevnovsky. Going to allow Buckberger to clear outside off of turn number 2. He's going to bring Derek Love right along with him. Of note, Bizzle, we're talking a little bit about the weather here. The overcast skies have the track temp down around 74 degrees. But the drivers were saying if we get any sort of a break of sun, it will make these cars absolutely evil to drive.
Yeah, you're going to see these cars go up higher on the racetrack than they already are. This track is built with progressive banking, and it does get higher the further up the racetrack you go, almost like when you see the NASCAR modified cars come here, and this turns into a 5-lane super speedway.
Already a little bit of damage on the front end of James Watson's number 39 machine.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. Maybe a little bump drafting going on here at these
well, you
super
wonder.
speedway and modifieds.
Yeah, the modifieds, oh my God. The best race of the NASCAR weekends up here is when the modifieds are running this place like it's Talladega. 2 and 3 wide, bump drafting the entire way around the joint. Good battle here deep in the pack. How about this with Derek Love, Mitch Drevnovsky, 3rd and 4th on the board. And Connor Knowlton setting a new fastest lap, taking it away from Brandon Buckberger, who said it last time by. Top 2 starting to check out on the rest of the field here. You have to wonder, though, are you maybe pushing a little bit too hard? This place is notoriously difficult on tires, especially if you start to get up on those seams in the corners.
Yeah, it's not progressively banked where you think of it as a radius. There are like seams where the bottom is like 2 degrees, the next one's 4 degrees, 6 degrees, and then I believe it levels off at like 8 degrees at the top. Not a whole ton of banking here, but those steps are incredibly difficult to take when you have 2 tires on 2 different levels. It's almost like if you're ever walking down the street and you have your right leg up on the curb and your left leg on the sidewalk and you kind of walk a little funny.
Well, yeah, especially when you think about the amount of stagger that these cars run around this place, too. You have just a bigger tire on the right-hand side as well.
Yeah, and all of that is just trying to spin the car around. It makes it very, very difficult to get around this place.
Yeah, maybe not as crazy as driving a wingless 410 sprint car would be, because these are only 358 cubic inch motors underneath the hoods of these cars. Basically the same thing that you would see, or very similar to what you would see in a NASCAR Cup Series car, just unrestricted and make as much power out of it as you possibly can.
Yeah, and not only that, these things are a little bit easier than the sprint cars to drive at short tracks just because they have a bit of a wider stance and a much longer wheelbase.
Yeah, the longer wheelbase is a huge help getting these cars around, especially the longer flat tracks like this, as we're starting to see the battle for the lead pickup. Brandon Buckberger making the look outside of Connor Knowlton through 3 and 4. That one's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, because we talked about it in the past. You run the inside lane. It's counterintuitive. You run the inside lane, and it's easier on the tires just because the distance is shorter. We're seeing Buckberger already going up almost to the 4th lane of the racetrack.
Yeah, and you can see how much it's helping him on the momentum side coming out of the corner. Looks like he almost loses the spot here in the mid-corner, then coming out, he nails the power. And as long as he doesn't have to back out of it for the wall, wins the drag race across the line.
Yeah, and actually it almost looks like he is so high on the racetrack, like the car is, instead of the grab that seam that wants to spin the car, it's Connor Knowlton goes big wiggle off it too. Buckberger to the race lead. I was just about to say, you hit that seam with the outside tires, it wants to spin the car. We just saw that with Connor Knowlton. If you hit it with the inside tires, it's almost like it can help the car steer off the edge of the corner.
Yeah, it kind of grabs the car and it's trying to pitch it off the corner. Getting it on exit instead of the car oversteering, it's going to understeer, but if you get it just right, you can kind of plant the car straight and put your foot straight down to the floor. Ooh, a little bit of contact up there.
Yeah, let's go.
Drabnovsky and Hayes.
Yeah, let's go on board here with Mitch Drabnovsky. He's getting all up in the back end of River Hayes off of turn number 2 that time. Derek Love just up ahead of the 81 machine. But then you swing it right back around here, and he's going to have Thomas Lewandowski right there on the back end as well. This is a fantastic pull early in this race.
Close enough you can touch that car. It's insane.
And these guys are not losing track of the battle here. Good Lord, let's pitch this camera down ever so slightly. Get you the look. How about a foot and a half between these cars as we head off to turn 1? Oh, that's so tight.
Almost going 3 wide there with Tracy Petter.
Wow, Drevnowski with such a huge run at the midpoint of the corner. Is this can you set the car up for that? Like just to say, hey, I'm going to ride this seam? And that just becomes the line you have to run?
I'm sure you could. I'm not sure I have ever thought of doing that, but the setup builders in this series, that this car has been untouched by iRacing, unupdated for so long, that they're probably extrapolating thousands out of these setups at this point, figuring out every little trick in the book. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those guys had that in mind.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because the big talk amongst the drivers has been this new Tempest weather system. And the car may not have gotten an update, but everything else in the sim has. And basically what that means is, oh, buddy, 3 wide off of 4. This could be dangerous. I was saying, basically, by iRacing changing everything surrounding the race car, they've kind of changed the race car by default as well. And the drivers are really having to almost relearn what setup adjustments you want to make.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to talk to drivers about. How much have these cars changed? How much different work are they putting into these setups to try and get them to do what they want now? Is it throw everything out, throw all your notes away, or is it mostly the same and it's just you have to adapt to how the track's going to change now?
Well, and of note here, we actually do have the ability to see the weather forecast that iRacing is putting out here, and it looks like we're going to stay overcast through the end of this race. But my gut is telling me there could possibly be some breaks in the clouds, and how the drivers are able to adjust that, because you do have the weight tracker in the car that you can either make it a little bit looser, a little bit tighter, but you can't make that drastic of a change.
Yeah, it's not like the Indy cars where you go fully in one direction or the other and it's a whole different car, where if you go full negative on it, the thing wants to kill you spinning around. If you go full positive, you got a dragster. It's very minor what you're changing in these cars, but that's because they're big, heavy bricks. So you got a ton of weight on all 4 tires regardless. You're not really moving all that much. I believe it's like a 10 or 15 pound sling that you're running along the car. In an Indy car, that's a whole probably 3-4% of the weight of the car. These things, it might be 0.5%.
Well, yeah, and the other thing about the Indy cars is they have the adjustable roll bars in them as well, so you can actually make a pretty big swing in the performance of the car, in at least the handling performance of the car. Here it's more of, I'm a little loose, let's tighten it up a hair. I'm a little tight, let's loosen it up a hair. But that's really all you can do, and a lot of it you have to do with your right foot.
Yeah, much like a sprint car, you're driving these things with the throttle. Just because of that size difference in the tires. The faster you spin the wheels, the more it's going to want to turn.
Just saw that out of River Hayes. Good Lord, that car was way twitchy off the backstretch. Thought I saw a little bit of damage on Jeffrey Stanton's car. May have just been the shadow of how the blue was interacting with the black of the Hoosier tires, but slide back in the field a little bit here. Pick up Todd Taylor and Zach Skotnicki. Oh! That was some right side romance from Todd Taylor on Skotnicki that time. See if Skotnicki tries the crossover down the backstretch. He's not able to. Runs that little bit higher line, though. May have a little bit of a pull down the front straightaway, especially when you take the draft into account. And that's something these drivers have to deal with here. The draft is something that you do have to work with.
Yeah, these straightaways are so long that you're wide open for a real long time, and you definitely want to get in the slipstream, try and pick up an extra mile an hour or two going into these corners.
James Watson is not a fan of the New Hampshire Motor Speedway and probably pretty darn frustrated with it at this point as well. Qualifying in the 10th position, falling back to 12th after the early damage. Pick up, we'll slide a little bit forward here. We'll pick up River Hayes and Jeffrey Stanton. That's the battle for the 7th position. Just up ahead, Tracy Petter. Show you the positions gained. He is marching through this field. Up 10 after starting in the 16th position and going to work on Thomas Lewandowski. I would imagine the challenging thing for Tracy is at some point this does become a little bit of a tire management race. And you really can't manage tires if you're trying to chase people down from way deep in the field.
Yeah, that's kind of the trade-off of starting in the back of one of these races is you're probably not going to make your way to the front. It's not like a NASCAR race where you can choose to stay out while everyone else takes tires, get the track position, and then get it back at the stage break or something. These, the set of tires you started this race with is the set of tires you finish it with. You pack enough fuel in the car, you never have to pit. So you wear those things out, trying to get up into the top 10. You don't have anything left to try and break into the top 5 or even the top 3.
Change at the front of the field. Connor Knowlton goes back to the top spot, passing Brandon Buckberger into turn number 1. Although Buckberger does not go quietly into that good night. Holding on, call it 2.5 car lengths, that time by the start-finish line. 28 caution-free laps knocking on wood here in the NRN broadcast booth. Interesting comment here from Sign-On. Let's get this one up on the air. This track is like the lesser version of Milwaukee, but it's still a great track. I don't know that I would call it a lesser version of Milwaukee.
I frankly like New Hampshire better than Milwaukee.
Oh, that's going to be tight. Buckberger had to back out of it into 1 as Knowlton bobbled. That's what you don't see at Milwaukee. Milwaukee is so board flat. It really is difficult to do anything but run that inside lane. Here at New Hampshire, you have a lot of options for where you want to run.
Well, New Hampshire isn't 100-something years old. It's a nice track to go to as a spectator. There's grass.
The State Fair Park in West Allis, Wisconsin is a fantastic place to see a race or a concert during the fair. Why they don't use the racetrack for racing during the fair is beyond me, but Bizzle, I think you should go to the Milwaukee doubleheader for the IndyCars this year.
Oh, that's true. Cleveland's not that far from Milwaukee.
No, it is not. Battle for the lead, nose to tail, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. all separated by about 0.6 of a second as they come off at turn number 4. And we're starting to see these cars get a little bit twitchy as we approach halfway. A lot of the fuel is burning out of these cars at the moment. And kind of lap by lap, you're burning a lot of fuel. I would think even more so than you would expect because you are full throttle for so much of the lap.
Yeah, I mean, this is like an overgrown Martinsville in terms of corner to straightaway ratio. You're wide open for probably 6-7 of a mile, and you're just kind of coasting into these corners.
Yeah, it's more of a back off, maybe a tiny touch of brake just to set the car and get it to rotate. But I don't even know that you necessarily need to do that.
You know, I'm only 7 hours from Milwaukee, and I've got a nice new Lexus I can cruise on down there with.
You could drive to Milwaukee in luxury.
Yes!
1997's finest.
99's finest, thank you.
Same thing.
No, the headlights are better on the 99. They're auto-leveling HIDs.
Oh, yes. The important things. Jeffrey Stanton and River Hayes side by side off of 4. So I got that going for me, which is nice. Oh, Floyd fan checking in. Oh, big slide for River Hayes. He's taking the road course. Oh, man. What a save by River Hayes. Holy cow! Please hold. Replay engaging. Check this one out with Jeffrey Stanton exiting turn number 2. It looks like...
there was contact.
I think net code maybe, but my goodness. I thought he was going to nail the chicane. The car overcorrects just a hair. But River Hayes keeps it on the racetrack and we stay green. In fact, he's still inside the top 10.
That is incredible. Yeah, a Floyd fan, that's just it's a bad take.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sign on, thank you. You beat me to the punch here. The 1993 kart race would like a word with you. Yes.
See, even in NASCAR, man, like the modifieds put on a fantastic show.
Hold up. Caution is out. And it looks like, I'm trying to see who the issue may be. It might be Alex Bisson. Yeah, I think that's exactly who it was. Let's take a look here and see what happened to car number 15. Little squirrely. Oh, then it spins right back across the racetrack. Oh, tumbles down the back straightaway. Carl Long at Rockingham, eat your heart out. But Alex Bisson goes for a ride, and that will bring out the first caution flag of the evening. With Connor Knowlton, your race leader, and it is at the halfway point. Next time by, it will be cross flags at the start-finish line. I see now Floyd fan is he is addenduming. He is seeking unanimous consent to reconsider and amend his remarks. The addendum says in NASCAR.
I still disagree.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go purist argument here. If you want to see passing, we can go out to the 465 or whatever it is outside of Indianapolis, and you can watch cars pass each other all day. A race is a run from point A to point B, even if that's just in circles. However many miles you have to go, the one who gets there the fastest wins. The Russian judge just held up Carl Long's face. Yes.
See, New Hampshire is fun for the same reason Pocono's fun. You get these crazy fuel economy races where I wouldn't want to see that each and every week, but it's fun to see who plays the oddball strategy, and it either ends up working or fails miserably.
Yeah, I would say I guess it was 2000 New Hampshire race that Jeff Burton led every lap of. They ran the restrictor plates after the crashes that killed Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin. That race was about the worst NASCAR race ever run. They could not pass. I mean, literally, you could not run anything but single file. It was atrocious. With that being said, I think New Hampshire has put on some really good ones. No, it's not ever going to put on that classic kind of, God finish. But that's not what you go there for.
If you want that every week, we could run the cars up at Daytona every week, and you might as well go to a WWE match. But we're about to get racing underway once again at New Hampshire.
Yeah, let's see here. It's going to be Connor Knowlton leading the field off of turn number 4, followed by Brandon Buckberger, Derek Love, Mitch Drevnovsky, Thomas Lewandowski. Knowlton gets a good jump on Buckberger. Derek Love having to look to the outside. Now it's going to be Thomas Lewandowski, Tracy Petter battling side by side. Here comes Drevnovsky up the inside.
Derek Love is not an easy guy to pass. He's going to fight tooth and nail to hold the advantage on the high side.
Yes, he is. And of note, River Hayes, who went for that wild ride through the infield just a couple of laps ago, passing Jeffrey Stanton on the restart. He's up into the 8th position now. And quite frankly, with the draft as powerful as it is, he may be able to catch back up. But man alive, this group of cars is trying to wad him up off of turn 4. Oh, and Lewandowski's up into the fence. Lewandowski, how did he not junk that race car?
Well, because he used to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater a lot as a kid and just grinded that wall fantastically.
Oh my goodness, let's see. Oh, now he's going to slide a little bit wide here. Let's take a look at this one on the instant replay. Well, I guess it's going to be next lap by, so we'll go back to the live look here, and maybe I'll try to find it. But we stay under green. Lewandowski back to the 10th position. Now it's going to be Tracy Petter. Derek Love fighting as Drevnovsky has gotten past. Oh, Petter starts to slide up the racetrack. D-Love has to slide wide as well. And here comes Brandon Buckberger diving to the lead inside of turn number 3. Not quite going to be able to make the move that time. Tucks right back up in line 33 circuits remaining. If you're going to get a caution flag in one of these races, I kind of like where we had that one. It's kind of about the halfway point. In this case, it was the halfway point. But it kind of just gives everybody a reset. The drivers get a chance to catch their breath, figure out what they like in the car, what they don't, see if they want to make any adjustments. And now you're going to go just absolutely balls out for the next 40 laps to close this thing.
Yeah, it's a nice intermission. I mean, maybe not for the drivers, but for the fans at home, it's time to go grab another pop, maybe take a little bathroom break, come back, and ready to go racing again.
Yeah, but when they're watching us on their phone, they're probably just taking us to the bathroom anyway. But that point is irrelevant.
It's fair. I do my best TV watching in there.
If anybody is watching us on their big screen, please let me know how the show looks. Buckberger, great corner exit speed off of 2 that time. And it's going to be 2 by 2 for the race lead. Man, there is just nowhere for Petter and Drevnovsky to go. Oh, but Petter's going to try to get way inside. That's so tough to do. You want to carry a ton of speed into the corner, but if you carry too much, you're going to push up the racetrack and something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's probably going to be another caution in this one with the way these guys are racing.
Sinon says watching on a really good second monitor looks great. All right, we'll take that. A good second monitor works. Oh, Buckberger's so twitchy off of 2. So's Jeffrey Stanton. Man, these drivers really starting to get a handful now. And Tracy Petter has almost completed the back-to-front challenge. Up 14 positions. He now runs second, only a quarter of a second back of race leader Connor Knowlton. Lap number 54 goes up on the scoreboard. Connor Knowlton leading 34 circuits. Brandon Buckberger has led 19. I want to remind everybody, big week of action coming up here on the National Racing Network. Tomorrow night, the iRacing Sprint Car Cup taking on Irwindale Speedway. They're going to run the outer layout there. That race will come up at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thursday night, the USF Pro Championship heading off to Monza as Tracy Petter making the look inside of Connor Knowlton for the lead off of 2. Man, that car of Tracy Petter looks really, really strong right now. And I would imagine these drivers are having to try to build in long-run speed. You don't necessarily want the short-run car. You're more concerned about what's it going to do over the very long run.
Yeah, you want the car that's going to just run away from the field like you're on cruise control. And you don't get that on the short runs because caution comes out, brings the whole field right back up to you. And woo, man, big wiggle by Jeffrey Stanton.
Good Lord. That car was all over the place off of turn number 2. Oh, man, doing it again off of turn 4 that time. And you can see that push starting to come in at the midpoint of the corner. That is only going to get worse for Jeffrey Stanton as this race goes on.
Yeah, that car is going to be overheating that right rear tire, and it's just going to want to spin out on him every time he exits the corner. And it's just a problem that gets worse and worse. It wants to slide a little bit, so it slides a little bit, heats the tire up more. Now it wants to slide a little bit more, and it wants to heat the tire up more.
Mitch Drevnovsky getting around Brandon Buckberger for position number 3. So the Deeds Farms entry slides back to position number 4. Buckberger currently sitting second in the championship standings. 2 starts, 2 top 5 finishes. But already a 40-some point gap to Thomas Lewandowski. Now tonight's run will help. Lewandowski back there in position number 10, at least as it stands right now. And with the SOF this big, this will absolutely be a race that Brandon Buckberger will take, even if it's only a top 5.
Yeah, definitely not going to be a drop week for most of the drivers here. Maybe James Watson used this one as a drop week way back there in 11th. But basically everyone else in this championship hunt, this is going to be a big night for them.
Tracy Petty, your race leader, carrying the number 1 is the driver with the highest I rating in the race. 8,049 is the I rating for Tracy Petter entering tonight's race. Connor Knowlton is the 9, about the halfway point. 39.61. You had to be almost a 4,000 I rating to crack the top half of this field. That just screams stout drivers, and quite frankly, some pretty spectacular growth here in the Silver Crown Cup.
Yeah, it's just we're approaching top split C-Fix levels, which I think is the highest strike the fields in their top splits out of any series in iRacing. But just mind-blowing. You get a little niche car like this, and it's all of the best guys in the service.
Which can we comment on? C-Fixed drawing some of the highest SOFs of the week? Come on.
Either C-Fixed or C-Open. It's just like all of the top NASCAR guys love to just hop in and run those all the time.
Yeah, doing it with the second account that you're not going to jeopardize your Coke Series I rating on.
Well, yeah, that's where they grind the Coke Series I rating.
They should do it here in the Silver Crown Cup. Although this car is not as easy to drive as something C-Fixed. Even C-Open, for that matter. The trucks are a cakewalk compared to these things. Oh! Almost contact there between Knowlton and Drevnovsky. Now we are down to just 15 laps to go here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tracy Petter picking up his 11th lap lead of the evening. And starting to open up a pretty sizable gap, about 1 second back to this batter between Knowlton, Drevnovsky, and Buckberger. And the longer they run side by side, the bigger that lead is going to get.
Yeah, the more these guys keep fighting, the farther and farther away that Tracy Petter can get away.
Well, and this battle is the best one on the racing surface right now. Everybody else pretty much is nose to tail. Josh Batista, River Hayes battling for the 6th position, but don't want to take our eyes off the fight for the podium here. Connor Knowlton if he manages to end up off the podium, that will be an incredible disappointment for that driver. 35 laps led in a really dominant car at the early stages.
Yeah, it just seems to be falling off towards the end. I wonder if I'm seeing a little bit of sun down the front stretch here, so I wonder if the track has changed a whole ton.
Well, ask and ye shall receive. How about an almost 10-degree increase in track temperature? Started the race at 74 degrees. It's up to 82. So if you set your car up for overcast and low 70s, this is going to become a little bit more difficult here as the race goes on.
Yeah, and it looks like Petter has anticipated the increase in track temp almost perfectly. That car has just gotten faster and faster as the race has gone on.
Oh, man, Josh Batista, River Hayes, bouncing off the wall, bouncing off each other. And Batista now way up by the outside wall into 3. Almost had a yard-sailed ream water heater there. And he's down on the apron trying to get that car to turn. Oh, he touches Stanton. Batista goes around, and that'll bring out the caution flag. 10 laps to go when the caution flag comes out for the second time.
This is the last thing Tracy Petter wanted to see. We're about to see how good that car is on the short runs.
Take a look at it here. Almost kind of a reverse diamonding of the corner. Slides up, makes contact with Jeffrey Stanton, and does a nice job to get it slowed up before any major contact. But unfortunately, that will put us under caution. Floyd fan checking it. It's like watching mom and dad fight. Yeah, a little bit. Some sideways ream noises out of sign-on. And Batista all the way back now to position 17. But now, like you said, Bizzle, this is one that Tracy Petter did not want to see, because with the caution coming out at 10 to go, that's a lot of time left, even with a great jump on the restart, for these drivers to catch up any ground that Tracy might be able to open up. You get the restart with 5 or 6 laps to go, you might only get one crack at them. We're going to restart with that probably, I guess, 6 laps to go is what it would look like. You're going to have, yes, a lap where Tracy is likely to open up a lead, but then you're going to have 5 more after it where everybody else is going to be just charging through this field.
Yes, but it also gives Petter the opportunity for Knowlton and Drivnosky to battle and for him to run away as well.
Well, yeah, it's a great point. If you start fighting for second, you can't battle for the race lead. I know that sounds obvious, but that's something that Drevnovsky and Knowlton almost have to work together on. I don't know if they're in a same Discord or anything like that, but these guys may have to work together to be up on Tracy Petter's bumper when we get down to 5 to go.
Yeah, now I'm not sure those guys are like teammates with each other. Like, are they going to work together, or are they going to think for themselves?
Well, and we still have the lights on the iRacing safety car, so they should go off next time by. So many cars with damage making their way off at turn number 2. Seeing River Hayes, Thomas Lewandowski, James Watson. These are guys that we're used to seeing being very clean and running up front. They just have not been a factor tonight.
Lights go out in the pace car this time?
How about this one? Sorry, I had to do some quick math. The average I rating of your top 5 right now is 66-14. Holy crap. This is going to be an awesome show down the finish here. Petter leads Knowlton, Drevnovsky, Buckberger, and Love the top 5, 6 through 10. Hayes, Stanton, Lewandowski, Scott Nicky, and Watson. And the big question mark for me is Buckberger and Love. What do these guys do out of 4th and 5th? Is there anything they can do but just kind of hope and wait for the race leaders to make the big mistake?
Yeah, that might be their only option. I mean, Petter is going to try and run away with this, and Knowlton and Drivnosky have the option of chasing him down or fighting with each other. Petter gets a great jump off the green.
Yeah, he's going to hold a 4-5 car length advantage by the time they get to turn number 1. Now, we do have one shot at a green-white checkered finish here in this Silver Crown Cup Series. So a yellow flag will not necessarily end it, but you can see there's lap number 1, and they're just not making ground up on Tracy Petter yet. He's almost, Penner, I'm speaking of, almost running that line that you've talked about, Bizzle, where you don't run the very inside, but you're not running that second lane either. You're doing just enough that the guys behind you don't get a great draft, but they can't take advantage of getting clean air either. It really puts the car that's in second in a tough spot.
Yeah, and that's your big advantage as the leader. The only problem running that line is you are burning up a little bit of your tires running it because it's an odd, weird entry, mid-corner, and exit to the corner.
Well, I think we've got our answer. Connor Knowlton going to have to fight off Mitch Drevnovsky, this time off at turn number 4. 2 laps to go here at New Hampshire. Oh, and it looks like Thomas Lewandowski and Jeffrey Stanton may have crashed. River Hayes is now up into the wall down the back stretch. Do we see a yellow flag come out before we get back to the start-finish line? We do not. White flag is out, 1 lap to go. Drevnovsky able to clear. Now Buckberger going to have the look inside. Knowlton scraped the wall ever so slightly off at turn number 2. Final time through turns 3 and 4. Tracy Penner will cruise to the win here at New Hampshire. Drag race for second. Oh, baby. Goes to Mitch Drevnovsky by 1/100th of a second. Tracy Penner picks up the race win. Mitch Drevnovsky comes home in the second position. And Connor Knowlton will round out your podium finishers. The rest of the top 10, Brandon Buckberger comes home in 4th, Derek Love 5th, 6th is Zach Scott Nicky, James Watson in 7th, 8th River Hayes, 9th Tommy Toe, and 10th Zach Evans. That is 3 cars I'm counting with fairly heavy damage. Scott Nicky, Watson, and Evans all finishing up inside the top 10. Second page of the leaderboard will have Laura Gerhardt, Todd Taylor, Josh Batista, Scott Schroeder, and Christopher Miller back to the 15th position. Jeffrey Stanton and Thomas Lewandowski 16th and 17th. That's going to close up this championship play in a big way. And Alex Bisson going out early. He was the cause of the first caution flag tonight. He will finish 42 laps behind the race leader in the 18th position. So we've got look at this. We got a pile of drivers waiting for us up here in the interview room. Let's bring up Mr. Tracy Penner, our race winner tonight. And Tracy, congratulations on the win here. Looked like that car really came alive in the second half of the race. Is that what you were feeling behind the wheel as well?
When my internet messing up and not being able to get a Q lap, and I had to change my strategy. And just at the beginning, I was just saving way until around halfway, and then start to go. And I realized I was pretty quick, and I got to the front.
Well, yeah, it was a great drive. Any concerns with it? The internet may have taken the whiz on you again here before the end of this race?
I normally don't have internet problems. I was pretty surprised by that. I wasn't really worried about it in the race.
Well, now that we see you running up front here, how many more of these are we going to get to see you run this season?
Maybe a couple short tracks, if there's a couple short tracks on the schedule. Not the biggest fan at running the bigger tracks.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think, let's see, next week. Oh, I can't even see the schedule next week. But one way or the other, Tracy, congratulations. A really great win for you tonight here. I led, I think, every lap of the second half. Congratulations on it. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs for us.
Yeah, thanks, of course, for always doing the broadcast. And shout out to SRS.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. Like we said, we appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth. And, man, he absolutely put a hurting on this field in the second half of the race. Now let's bring up our runner-up finisher tonight, Mr. Mitch Drevnovsky. And Mitch, your car looked really, really good tonight. Didn't lead a lap, which was surprising, but up inside that top 3 or 4 all night. How was the car from in the driver's seat?
Yeah, it was pretty solid all race. A little bit there in the beginning, I was struggling, just trying to figure out what line I was going to run, and it seemed like people were mixing it up. Some were running like 2 lanes up. I was running lane up most of it, and I think just there in the beginning, in the middle portion of the race, I used up the right front a little more than I wanted to, kind of racing Derek and a couple other guys, and that's just the name of the game, having enough tire left at the end, and got to battle and Connor there at the end, and Tracy just kind of got away there, so I think he did a real good job with his tires. Not entirely sure what he had there at the end, but good job to him, and really happy for Connor. It's his first one of these ever, and looked like maybe he had a shot at the win there, but I'm sure he's happy with the podium.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we were talking a little bit the strategy of that last restart. Do you stick in behind Connor, and then at what point do you have to make the move? Is that what's going through your head under the caution flag, is kind of trying to figure out how the two of you might be able to get past Tracy, or is it kind of every man for himself there real late?
Yeah, I think that's kind of part of it. It's everyone for themselves, especially that late. You know, if it's 20 to go, you're going to kind of take it easy there for a lap and to see what you got. But I figured Connor and Brandon were battling there up in the beginning, so far ahead of us that when Tracy had got by him and we kind of had got to them on that one of those restarts, I figured, all right, maybe I can get by Connor and work on Tracy. But he did a heck of a job holding me off. So on that last one, I figured, if I can get a good jump on that start, go by him, see if I can get to Tracy, but I didn't have as good of a start as I wanted, and that's just part of it. And then we got to have a good battle there to the line, so that was a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations on it. A fantastic finish for you here tonight, Mitch. And before we let you go, get all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs in for us.
Yeah, everyone at EPI, always doing a heck of a job. SRS, everyone for coming out tonight. That was a lot of fun. I haven't got to run this series in a while with some other stuff we've been doing, but that was one of the most fun races I've had in a while. So everyone in here, shout out to them. Everyone else in the other split, we got a big race tonight, and always you guys for doing the broadcast. You do a great job, so appreciate it.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate the kind words from you there. And let's talk to our third place finisher tonight here, Mr. Connor Knowlton. And Connor, I tell you what, you first time up on the podium here with us, but at the same time, I would imagine a little bit disappointed leading a race high 35 laps. That car looked like an absolute rocket ship in the first kind of 2/3 of this race.
Yeah, funnily enough, podium. This is my first time running the Silver Crown, so I just kind of figured I don't know what the car is going to do, but what if it falls off? That's a problem for future me. I just stepped on it and took off a little bit, and I think those cautions kind of brought everyone back together. And at the end, I had nothing for Zach, and I think Mitch has had a little bit more experience, so he was able to kind of make it work down on the bottom. But we were hooked up for a little bit though.
Yeah, the car looked really, really quick, and ultimately trying to manage the heat cycles that the tires went through, the track warming up as well with the new Tempest system. There's a lot to figure out in these cars, a car that you're completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah, we were talking, Mitch, Zach, and I were talking, like, we don't really know what's going to happen. I've never run these before. Mitch and Zach haven't in a while, and I was like, I'm not worried about all that. Whatever happens. I'm just gonna kind of put my foot to the floor and see what happened, and it worked out okay.
Well, congratulations once again on the third place run. A great showing on debut. And before we let you go, make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and shout outs you want to get in here.
No sponsors on this thing yet. We just dusted this thing off before we drove it out there. But big shout out to Ski Race Shop, Mitch and Zach, for helping me with the set and just kind of mentoring me on all these sprint races, all the Silver Crown and the modifieds. They've been really big influences for me and big reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Well, buddy, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. And he made reference to Zach. That's Tracy Petter. Tracy is not actually Tracy's first name. One of those iRacing deals where whatever the name on the credit card it is to get the account, that's the name that shows up. So Zach Petter is the driver there, but he's always been Tracy, so we're going to call him Tracy. As we go back to the live look here, Bizzle, I tell you what, we got I'll use Sinon's word. We got a hell of a finish here tonight. Just a great show as always out of the Silver Crown guys.
Yeah, I have a feeling you could take these Silver Crown cars anywhere and they'd put on a good show. Put them on the little Legends oval out there at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I bet you these guys would still be the best show of the week.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's funny that we have, and now I'm being a little bit biased here in saying this, but 3 of the best series on the iRacing platform are broadcast here on the National Racing Network every week. Silver Crowns, Sprint Cars, PM18s always put on a great show. We appreciate you all coming to hang out with us and enjoy these. Give it a like and a share if you like what we're doing out here. It does help with the algorithm, allegedly. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that button as well and ring the bell to let you know when we go live. You don't get a ton of notifications from us. But with that, I think it's time for Bizzle and I to get the heck on out of here. Fantastic drive out of the Silver Crown cars tonight. Tomorrow night, it'll be the Sprint cars coming up from Irwindale Speedway. And on Thursday night, the USF Pro Championship heads off to Monza. That is going to be a wild show with those cars. For Patrick Byrne and everybody else here at the National Racing Network who helps us get these shows on the air, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.